Hello. Welcome to Seller Ladies. Yeah, it's a very small panel today because it's the last day of school and lots of us have got many things on. So yeah, you've got us, and we're doing, because we had a really nice subject suggested by Marie on, I think it's Marie on Instagram, but we want to save that until we've got more of us here, and then we can really have a good discussion about it. So we cobbled together something today and thought hopefully there'll be enough people in the chat to ask us some questions. So we've got Richard Payne, hi, and mum of 5 sons in the chat today. Thank you for joining us. And
Photobomb.
Yeah, and Ellen's just come home and you know, she had a half day today. And I said, you have to make yourself scarce. She says, can I make some lunch? So she's moving around somewhere. Anyway, hello, Heather. We have Heather today. How are you?
I'm all right. I've been out about 3 times this morning. I feel like I'm ready for my bed again.
Well, I've bedded. Well, I took Ellen to school today, and that was it. I've not left the house since then. So.
Well, I had my flea market to go to. Then I had to go and pick my stuff from the garage. And there's one thing I forgot, which is annoying. And then I had to go and post some parcels. So 3 trips already.
Yeah, busy.
Yeah.
Did you get anything good at the flea market today?
Not too much. I only spent £15 with her today. But funnily enough, this is what happens. You start talking to people. I've got a lady that I'm going to help declutter her wardrobe up in London next week, and she's a friend of mine, so I'm kind of hoping that's going to be interesting. And I also got talking to a chap who I bought a dressing gown thing off him, you know, like a vintage one. And he said, oh, well, I clear out these houses and I've got bags and bags of stuff. I got a whole bag of hippie clothing. And I'm like, be still, my beating heart. So I kind of said to him, well, look, I seriously do buy clothes, especially of the vintage variety. Do bear me in mind, I'll be here next week. So I'm really hoping that something might come of that.
You definitely have to do a haul if something does come of it.
Oh God, yes, yeah. Today's is very small potatoes. It's not really haul worthy.
Hello, Karen. How are you?
Hello. I'm okay, thank you. A bit achy from all the moving. We've been busy dismantling our bedroom because we're gonna get a new bed and buy some new wardrobes eventually. So today we've been dismantling the bed. Well, I say I've been holding screws. Darren's been dismantling it.
Screws are very heavy.
Yeah.
And easy to lose. It's a valuable job.
Yes.
Exactly. You've been supervising.
Yes. And moaning.
I have to say, I love your t-shirt.
Thank you. It's Mickey on the front, and then I've got Minnie on the back. If you can see. Oh, you see it?
Oh, I love it.
I've had it donkey's years.
Yeah.
It's a Disney fan loving here.
It's very nice. And we've got more people joined us. We've got James. Hi, James, and Edward, and Claire as well. So hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. We were just saying it's a bit of a funny day because it's the last day of term, so not so many people around today. Oh, Antoinette's just popped in. Hi, Antoinette. Okay, so we're doing a Q&A today. So if anyone in the chat has any questions, please do ask us some questions. Otherwise, it'll be a very short stream. But I do have a couple that some people asked. Oh, that's Nick's phone ring. Have some questions that people have already asked on Instagram. So I'll start with that because it's quite a good question. Quite a good. Right away on the phone. So it's quite a good question from David McGregor, who says, summer slowdown, myth or reality? So what are your thoughts on that, Heather and Colin, whoever wants to go first?
Shall I go first instead? Yeah. All right. It has slowed down for me, definitely. July and August traditionally are quieter months, particularly as I sell clothing. I kind of know most people have going to bought a lot of their summer stuff already, and are probably not quite ready to buy the winter clothes. But I've got to say that although it's slowed down a bit, it's not nearly as bad as it was for me last year. I am up on average selling price, amount sold, and everything. So I moan because the thought of having a day when nothing sells, when I've got over 1,400 items listed, is a bit gutting and does make me question my sanity. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then you'll be sitting back quietly with a cup of coffee and it'll be ding, 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 ding. And there'll be about 3 sales come through at once. And I'm like, what the actual is going on here? So it's still very up and down, but I think it's balancing out, and I think I am doing better than I was last year. So that's, for me, I can only compare myself to how I've been previously. And I am trying to source things that are other than clothes, just to broaden my base a bit.
Yeah. No, that sounds really positive, actually. If you're up on last year, we're 2% down on last year at the moment, but a couple of weeks ago we were 25% down on last year, so that's definitely an improvement.
Oh,
yeah. So, Karin, how about you? What do you think about?
Yes, it's definitely slowed down. I've mostly got clothes listed. I've got on my main shop, I've got 150 listings at the minute, and I think in the last 7 days I've only sold 4 items, so that is quite slow. But the plan this weekend is I've got my other eBay, which I'm just selling bags and shoes, and I'm gonna get listing on there this weekend. Husband's working this weekend, so I'll get listing on there and get some more bags and shoes, which hopefully most of them doesn't matter about the weather, does it? So hopefully I'll get some sales from there.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I've worked in retail pretty much all my working life, and I think that just across the board with retail definitely slows down in the summer, because people are out and about enjoying themselves. They're not thinking about shopping or, you know, sitting at home shopping online as much. So I think it isn't a myth. It's a real thing. It definitely does slow down in the summer. So yeah, that's my thought on it. That you just have to ride it out. As soon as the season starts to change, the kids start to go back to school. People think about, especially if you're a clothing seller, people think about new season stuff, and they start shopping again, really.
Yeah, September is very busy for me.
Yeah.
Usually, just all of a sudden, the schools go back. It's like someone flips the switch. But what surprised me when I actually looked at my figures, when you asked the question, is I can't believe I'm about 45% up on sales. And money, the number of sales is up, not so much, but it's my average selling price that's gone up a bit. So it's kind of trying to take a big picture and thinking, yeah, I still need to keep getting some of those big ticket items to have those on my stall, because if I haven't got them there, they won't sell.
Yeah, I think for us at the moment, obviously Nick's selling a lot of cassettes, so they're all quite simple value items. We're selling quite a volume of it, but again, small value. And I'm selling quite a lot of sort of bread and butter clothing and nothing really amazing. So it does affect things in terms of percentages on your sales, I think. So you might actually be selling more in terms of quantity, but yeah, sales are lower because of that. I was going to say that when we had the game shop and the record shop, we used to notice throughout the summer that, especially during the summer holidays, that it was busier in the week, and then the weekends were pretty much dead because the kids were off during the week, so they would come in and spend their pocket money during the week, and then on the weekend when parents were at home and they'd just been, you know, tumbleweed, and we'd just stand around, whereas it used to be, you know, when it's not the school holidays, it's the opposite. It's like the weekends are the busiest. So yeah, you definitely notice a real shift in the summer. Mandy says that she's averaging 10 sales per day, and that's 20% up on last year, so that's pretty good. Okay, there's a question here from Tipsy Toad. It says, hi everyone, new to reselling. Do you promote your listings? And if so, by how much? And does it make a big difference?
I don't. I haven't got anything promoted at the moment. In the past, I have promoted my covers, and I might do if I have something new. But on my other stuff, I don't promote anything at the moment.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I don't really either. I did experiment with promotions. I didn't feel that it did very much. I didn't like the way it told you how much, tried to tell you what to do, because I don't like that. Don't like being told what to do at the best of times, so that can just go away. So what I actually do is I put a load of stuff on auction, and the stuff that didn't go, because you can't easily flip it back to being a fixed price listing. What I've done is I've gone through stuff I've never had for a while. I just cut the price. I'd rather do that. I can do it individually. I can look at it more closely. I prefer that, because if people are watching, it's going to flip up to them anyway. You reach more people, I'm sure of it. If you do a promoted listing, right, and they say you've got 5 watchers, they'll only send that promoted listing to maybe 2 or 3. If you actually cut the price, then every single one of those 5 watchers is going to get told that you've reduced the price.
Mm-hmm.
It's a no-brainer.
I'll tell you something weird what I found the other day when I was searching. I was looking for a price on a pair of Clark's shoes, and I typed in like Clark's Narrative nude heels, and I only got about 5 results, and 3 of those results were the same person selling the same item, but they'd promoted them. They were there on the search, and I think, I don't know if they had them listed on another listing or if someone had used their pictures, but I had 3 different of the same, 3 different listings of the same pictures. So that was weird. And I thought, well, promoted listing hasn't really helped there, because if someone types in Clark's Narrative nude heels, that was near the top anyway. So
yeah,
The trouble is you don't know that when you're first listing. So
yeah,
you can't tell that's going to happen.
yeah.
I do promote everything. I just, by matter of course, I just put on 1 to 2% on promoted listings, and most of what I sells on promoted listings. And whether it helps or whether it would have been there anyway, I don't know. But I just do it anyway. And Cheryl's in the chat. Hi, Cheryl. And she says that she promotes everything as well. But the thing is, there's no way of knowing if it's sold because it was promoted or if it would have sold anyway, which is what we were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she says
exactly. There is no proof.
And it probably is, to be honest. But we think it helps, so we try it. Try anything.
Well, you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheryl actually had a good question on Instagram, so I might as well ask that while we're talking to her. She says, any full-time resellers that have had a baby, how did you cope? I'm starting to panic. So if anyone in the chat wants to give Cheryl any advice on that, then
I was going to say, I have no knowledge of either of those 2 things.
No.
Apart from owning a dog.
Yeah. It's a bit similar, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Sometimes. So Heather, were you reselling when your son was small?
Oh, not full time, that's for sure, and not sort of relying on it. I sold things and I bought things, but it wasn't a serious thing. It was very much a hobby. I was trying to do other stuff at the time, and trying to do anything with a very small one is difficult. I found the first sort of 3 months actually much easier because they sleep a lot, and they can't. Once they can move, once the buggers can move, and they can actually get themselves around the place, then the stuff really hits the fan. All the while they're in that little seat and they're immobile. Bloody fantastic. Well, hard work, but the minute they start moving, oh dear God, really, I defy anyone to get much done. What you have to do is find someone who really likes kids, who can look after them for a couple of hours and give you a break, or make sure you get the naps in. Theirs, I mean, not yours, Get the naps in. Yeah. I used to work as a hypnotherapist, not full time, but I did that work all around having my son, right up until I had him, and very soon afterwards, because luckily he was a good sleeper. And especially once he got to about that sort of toddlerish age, he would have a morning nap and an afternoon nap, and I could actually see a client, hypnotize them within that slot.
Hypnotize them to look after your baby.
No, well, I should have done really, shouldn't I? But no, he was fine. But I actually had that window. But I know a lot of people don't. But I did sort of train, if you can call it training them, because I think kids and dogs and they're all a bit the same in that they need a routine. And I was really careful about sticking to a routine for his sake. I hate routine, but it made my life tolerable because I would have gone stark staring mad. Mother Earth, I am not.
Yeah. When Ellen was small, obviously Nick and I were both working together, so that really helped because we were able to share the responsibility. And we also lived in a really small house, so we worked in just our living room area, and then we had a very small garden just off the living room, and it was completely walled in. So in the summer, when she was toddling, she was able to just go out there and play with the water and the sand and everything, and we could see her. And it was, it just worked really well. And we did a lot of, walking out and going to charity shops and just trying to amuse her that way and playing with her. So it's just trying to get that balance, really, isn't it? It's trying to do a little bit of work when you can, but also you only get those years, very briefly. So try and make the most of them, really.
Yes, they can grow out of it.
If you have any friends or family, like you just said, that can help out, then that's brilliant. Because when we had the shop, Nick's mum and dad were just amazing. They'd have her 2 days a week. They'd have one on a Friday and a Saturday for us. So. Yeah,
because I didn't have anybody. I just had to crack on with it, and I struggled. It wasn't good for my sanity, it's for sure. And my husband was out in work. He was actually up in London, of all places. So I was basically a single parent, to be fair, most of the time. And to be honest, once was enough for me. I couldn't have kept doing it. But if you've got a sort of a tag team affair where there's a couple of you, I mean, that makes all the difference. But having a family who will support you is wonderful. And I just think, that must make life a lot easier.
Yeah, I am a bit worried about my little sister because she's gone from sort of a relative, even though it's a small town, a busy town next to all my family, and now she's moved out in the sticks in Essex, and she's expecting, and I am worried about her because she's just going to be on her own a lot. So I'll probably get a lot of phone calls off her if she's fed up. So, but I'm hoping that she finds something she can do. Otherwise, she's just going to go mad being stuck in the house all day with a baby in the winter as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, there must be lots of like mum and baby type groups.
I hope so. Yeah.
That sort of thing.
I mean, it's about a 20-minute walk to the boys' school at the minute, so that's not too bad. But when my other nephew goes to high school, then it'll have to be in the car for him. So that's the thing with living out in the country.
True. Yeah. But if she can find any kind of group, a local group or anything, then it's invaluable because then you meet people and make friends and get you out the house.
I'll try and get her to do it.
Jane actually has a good question. Well, it is a question. Says that eBay seems to be flooded with clothing, so the nicer and unusual items seem to sell. I guess sell more. Have we noticed this change? Have we noticed that?
I would say that because I do. That's what I hunt. I like weird, wacky, and unusual, freaky stuff. And I think I do still sell the bread and butter stuff, but I think because I'm just buying more of what I love, maybe that's what's helping me because I'm just picking what I like and going, sub what eBay try and tell me to sell it for and all their dictating. I just do what I think's the right thing.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that then, Karen? Do you think it's
well, see, a lot of what I've got is like Marks and Spencer stuff and, stuff that's pretty flooded. And I try and be a little bit competitive with my prices, but not obviously stupidly competitive. And I make sure I do a quality listing. And I always get a lot of appreciation for my listings because I'm very straight down the line. If there's any faults, if there's any marks, and people know what they're getting then. And I think people do appreciate that more than just anyone who's just selling some stuff. They don't always say what's wrong with it. So I think a quality listing does help as well.
It definitely does, and taking photos of all the issues that you've got with it as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of people don't really read the description, but if they can see what's wrong,
Yeah,
with them, that helps.
And putting the measurements in as well, because to buy something, even if it's Marks and Spencer's, then they're not as reliable. What you have to have the measurements, or you don't stand a chance.
Yeah,
I find with Marks and Spencer stuff, a lot of it comes up very small. So it's good to put the measurements in with Marksy stuff, unless people. Well, I suppose a lot of people do know their size if they shop there, but it's still good to put the measurements in. I mean, I had my mum bought a pair of size 14 trousers, and size 18 trousers, thinking that she'd have plenty of room in them. And when I measured them, they actually had the measurements for size 14. So yeah, they just weren't very forgiving at all. So
that's a big drop in size.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with all the vintage stuff that I do, I have to do measurements anyway, because
Yeah.
a vintage size 12 is like about that. It's teeny tiny.
Yeah, I find that most vintage clothing is about 2 sizes smaller in modern terms, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Well, there's a positive comment here from Bobby Dazzler Bargain. Says that the government report yesterday said retail sales are up this quarter, driven by online sales, particularly used clothing.
Mm.
Oh, well, someone's doing well then.
So, yeah, I mean, I suppose there are pros and cons to anything. I do think that we're starting to see the used clothing market is flooded. And I think that the reason for that is that people are starting to think more about being thrifty and about buying used rather than buying fast fashion. And there's a big trend towards that. So the cons to that is that as a seller, there's a lot more competition. But the pros to it is that people are buying more used clothing, which is a good thing. So,
Yeah. I think there used to be a big stigma, didn't there, to buying used clothing? I mean, there was when I was young. It was just wasn't. You just didn't do it. You wanted everything new. Whereas now, I really like picking up secondhand stuff because it's so much cheaper and you get some really lovely stuff. And I can take trousers up and things like that and not feel worried if I'm doing that, because it didn't only cost me a few quid rather than the price that you pay in the shops. I mean, some prices are just ridiculous now. I'd find it really hard to buy like nice clothes new because just the price of them.
Yeah, you know that you're in this game when you kind of gasp when you see the prices of.
I don't know if any of you saw Lorraine this morning. They had a pair of Gucci trainers.
yeah,
And they were £445. But then they had a pair from Primark that looked nearly exactly the same, and they were £9. How can they justify that 440? It's just a label, and they've put like 430 whatever it is pounds on top of the price. It's ridiculous.
But they probably made better, and they probably made a better quality material, and maybe sort of 8-year-olds in a sweatshop in India. But
True.
ultimately, it's still ridiculous. And they're not made of bloody gold, are they? So yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. You'd like to think that they're made better, but I bet you anything you like, they're still used.
You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell, could you, on the picture?
No.
Oh dear. But hopefully, as I say, I think people have realised that lots of people on these sort of influencers and people like that will find unusual pieces on eBay or in vintage shops. There's a whole trend towards trying to find your own style rather than wearing what the high street is telling you. And my thing is I know there are certain things I've been selling for years in the so-called vintage market that now they're trying to make new ones of the same to make it look old. So you'll be rooting to a rail and go, oh, that looks like, oh my God, that's Primark. Oops. They're copying what they think people want, which is the vintage style. So it kind of goes round and round a bit. But I still think the quality of secondhand, and particularly vintage stuff, it was generally made so much better.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I completely agree that they're copying the vintage styles now, because like shirt dresses, for instance. You know, they were huge like in the 80s and early 90s, and now you see them everywhere. And, yeah, so in a way that's a good thing if you're a jumble seller, or you know, you're out thrifting in charity shops and you come across the vintage stuff and you know, oh, that's going to sell because that's really on trend at the moment, even though it's like 20 years old.
Well, there's certain colours, certain styles, certain things I see. I might not wear it in month of Sundays, truly, but I know that people are going to want it because it's, I mean, I've always gone for the funkier the better. If it's weird, if it's funky, if it's vintage, if it's deeply strange, I know someone's going to want it because they're going to be at a festival or at a party and no one in the room is going to be wearing the same thing. Whereas these days, it's the same damn thing done 20 times over by 20 different companies. Boring. Nobody wants boring.
Yeah, really boring. I'm noticing, especially because, you know, Ellen's 17 and she's really into used clothing, vintage clothing. Just bought herself a pair of vintage denim shorts from Default, which arrived today. And I'm noticing there is a real young trend towards vintage. And like you said, trying to find your own style and wearing quirky things and not buying high street fashion.
Yeah, it's an act. It's like a rebellion thing, isn't it? It's a statement that says I'm not going to be a sheep and follow what I'm told what's in this week. You know, I think people like stuff, they want to wear it if they can find it. I've got a few things that I'm trying to find and I have a search for on eBay because I know that someone's going to sell that eventually. It's going to come up. But yeah, I can't make clothes. I'm not like Corinne. I can't sew. So apart from a bit of hand sewing. So if I see something I like on the eBay, I'm going to get it for me. I've been buying boots for winter for me. I bought 2 pairs. So love it. I'm buying them now because they're cheaper now.
Well, I've just bought a dress from Carla, and I've already picked off. It had a collar attached to it, and I've already picked that off, and then I'm going to hem that down because that suits me better than having a collar on it. But it's a really lovely dress, and it's an American brand. It's got a massive full skirt and it's called Chic Star. Never heard of it, but it's definitely American because it says spandex instead of which is what they say. Eric Storms is the company. I don't know, never heard of them, but yeah, it had like an attached collar, so I've picked that off. But I do that a lot with things. I just adjust them. I mean, I had a t-shirt and I took the edging off. I had a dress and I turned that into a top. I like to, if I buy something from like a supermarket or something, I like to change it.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as a trend as well. On a lot of thrifting YouTube videos, people are customizing things and cutting them up, making something else out of them, and that's becoming really trendy now as well, which is good because young people are learning sewing skills as well.
I mean, I grew up with very thrifty parents who were always doing, you know, adjusting things, and very little of what we had in the house was new. It was always, my dad used to go to like car boots and to auctions. We used to get most of our furniture from auctions. So all my life I grew up with stuff that wasn't in fashion because my dad used to get it cheap, you know. But it's put me in really good stead because I've, you know, unlike my husband who was a very spoilt child and got everything new, we've both got such different opinions on things, but he is getting better now. He really is, than what he was like. Well, he's had to get used to it, really. I mean, he would think nothing of spending £150 on a pair of trainers. And now I just don't let him do it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I did grow up going to jumble sales and treasure hunting for things and just like finding weird stuff. My sister, who's slightly older than me, hates anything that's not brand new. So we've kind of got very different ways. But I could never find what I wanted. It just wasn't available, what I had in my head, what I wanted to wear and do. So there's a lovely comment here. Shelsteroon is in, and a Nigel Spencer said he loves this. It's better than loose women. I thought this is falling apart, but there we go. Nice one, Nigel.
And we don't have like tons of makeup on and really
No, we're not being wind tunneled.
and excellent lighting.
Yeah, I was going to say the lighting's not so great.
Yeah, blurry screen helps a lot in my case, I think.
I was going to say it's not so forgiving for me.
Oh, Tat Doctor's just said he thinks that my dad was Del Boy. He was very similar to Del Boy, really, really similar. He's still like that now, to be honest. He's always got a new scheme, a new plan. Last year it was a boat, and then this year it was Bulgaria, which I was panicking about, but that's okay now.
What, to move out there?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. My mum put her foot down. It's okay.
Sounds like a bit of an adventurer, though.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question here. I'm way behind in the chat, by the way. I apologise for that. There's a question here from Lauren who says, I know this will vary per person, but how much would you say that someone would need to earn a day to comfortably quit their job? I.e., what would your sales need to drop below to worry you? I think it varies per person and your circumstance, doesn't it? I mean, for us, we don't have a mortgage anymore. So I would say that we need about £100 a day across the board to, bare minimum, to pay bills and to eat. But, for someone else, that would be way more.
Mm-hmm. I think it all depends on your lifestyle, doesn't it, really? And what you're used to. And I mean, since me not being well and us going from a one income from two to one, we've had to cut back on a lot of things because with eBay it's not a guaranteed income. So anything that I make is a bonus, but we don't rely on any of my money because it's just like a roller coaster. You just can't depend on it. So
yeah, I mean, similar here. I don't rely on my income is not a sole determinant of whether we eat or not, so it's more of a great bonus, and it helps. And we've actually just paid off our mortgage. We are done with it finally. We ended it soon, so we're free now. But we're going to save the same money because you get older, you need these kind of things there. I'd like to earn £100 a day. It doesn't always happen. God, you've done it once, yay! But it's so unpredictable. I think just what you need if you're going to do this full time, and especially if your earnings are the most important thing, you need to have a big cushion of money. You want about 3 months living, 3 to 6 months living stuffed away, because you will have rainy days. Don't just jump unless you've got someone else who can pick up the slack. If it's just you, then have loads put aside, because it'll cost you more than you think it will, and you'll hate the days when it's not going so well. And you've got to keep motivated, you've got to keep going and not just get frightened.
Yeah, definitely. You need a cushion behind you. I mean, we have savings, we have a cushion, so if there are bad days or bad weeks, then we don't panic too much. So you definitely need that cushion. There's a question from Warren who says, how would you go about listing or pricing an item that you can't find anywhere? I have a pair of Lotus cufflinks and cannot find them anywhere online. Don't know, make up a price.
£11, as Lex would say.
Make up a price and add a bit more. That's what Nick does, isn't it?
Say that again.
Nick makes up a price and then adds a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I think you might as well go high to start with, really. I mean, look at what cufflinks of other cars are selling for. Obviously, Lotus is a very popular brand. See if someone's doing cheap knockoffs of them. Look up the website, see if they're still available. There's a lot of research you can do. And then, like you say, pick a sensible number and stick a bit more on and see. You can always bring the price down, but it's kind of tricky to be putting the price up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not finding it anywhere, then it's obviously quite a rare item. So
yes,
you're not finding
I have it quite a few times.
Really wants it.
Yeah, I have it with quite a few things that I find I can't find. There's nothing on eBay very similar, but I'm just trying to reach that one person who's going to love it, and I want to make some money out of it. So high.
Right, Janice says, do any of you keep a regular work schedule? I'm struggling with operating as a full-time reseller and really need to step things up.
Schedule. I don't do schedules really. Again, I don't even like myself telling myself what to do. Never mind anyone else. I just crack on with it. It's like if I've got some stuff that needs photographing, I photograph it. If stuff needs bagging up, I bag it up. I get a bit of a backlog sometimes, then I just go hell for leather and get rid of it. And then some days very little happens of any consequence. I'm not very, very scheduled, but I get stuff done. Get it done, whether it's a schedule or not, get it done.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote out a 30-hour week schedule for myself at the beginning of the year, and it's on the wall, and I think I've done it half a week once, because it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I mean, I will try when I start up the sewing again. I will try and do at least 2 days a week, because you have to keep on top of that, especially if you're getting custom orders in. You need those days. So I will say to myself, right, 2 days, definitely got to just do sewing. But I'll still be answering questions and obviously sending offers and stuff on eBay in the meantime. But I need to do more on my eBay days, really, because I do get quite distracted. And if I'm on my own, I have to walk Monty twice. And then Monty's got this thing at lunchtime where he wants me to sit down and have my lunch, because he moans at me because he wants a cuddle, because he misses me. Because he does his own thing while I'm working in here, but then he wants half-hour cuddle, so I have to give him that, otherwise he just keeps nudging me. And he's just nudging me because he just wants a cuddle.
Oh.
Like having a child.
Yeah.
Give me some attention, stop working so much.
Well, you should have seen him this morning, because we were in the bedroom. We sort of blocked it off because we didn't want him to get hurt, and he just kept crying because he wanted to be in the room sniffing about with us, seeing what we were doing, and he just couldn't. He was just kept crying.
Our Monty just used to get grumpy. He used to, come in and look at me in my office and go, audibly, just go, oh. Like, why are you going to stop doing that and take me for a walk? Yeah. I'm not very scheduled either. I do play with to-do lists, but most of my to-do lists are in my head. So yeah, sometimes I write them down. Most of the time I have a plan in my head of what I want to do and what I want to achieve for the day. And that's as far as it gets, really.
I really like that to-do list. Have you ever done a to-do list?
I've not
I do that all the time. It's really good because you can put really tiddly little things like empty the dishwasher, or load the dishwasher, or walk Monty, or sort out tea for tonight. And I do all of that, and then it looks like you've done loads, which is quite good. When husband comes home and thinks I've done nothing, I go, look.
Yeah. I did write a to-do list with all the stuff that I needed to do, like housework wise as well. And Nick came in, I said, look, I've written a to-do list. And he went, wow, are you going to do all that in one day? So it was good at that point that maybe he could see all the other things other than reselling that needed doing as well. Because I think most of the time I just get on with that. It isn't really something that I think about, but yeah.
Well, exactly, the stuff that gets in the way, like a shed load of recycling I did this morning, having to go shopping, that kind of stuff, that the kind of general maintenance and stuff of life really gets in the way. And I do get frustrated with it because I don't enjoy that kind of thing. But, it's got to be done, otherwise we don't eat. So,
well, yeah. Yes, the only reason we got the wardrobe down so quick last night was because, sorry if you weren't here at the beginning, basically we had massive fitted wardrobes in our bedroom and we took them down yesterday. But Darren spent the day laying on the sofa watching the golf. And I spent the day sorting all the clothes out, sorting out loads of the stuff that was in that and, moving it or packing it up, whatever, so that he could take the wardrobes down. So, he enjoyed the golf, but I was busy. But I did like 15,000 steps yesterday, so that was pretty good.
Wow.
So I'm a bit sore today.
You ended up doing the lion's share of the work, really.
Yeah. He just done the fun bit with the unscrewing and...
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I'd rather do the destruction derby of it than I would actually piddling around with the clothes.
I'll tell you what, it came down a lot quicker than it went up, because him and his dad, when we first moved in here, honestly, the hours they spent putting that thing up.
Yeah, I managed to get, because I had my sister over who I don't see very often, so she came over and stayed with me, and it was absolutely lovely. And she loves gardening, so my garden was getting a bit, so we kind of went out there. And of course, once I start doing something, no matter what it is, once I start doing it, I don't want to stop. I don't want to be interrupted. I want to crack on, and I'll rip up half a tree and half the garden if I have to. But and I have to just do it. And I had backache the next day, mind you, I can tell you. But you know, whenever I'm doing something, I just like to carry on until I'm done with it. And life gets in the way and means that's not always possible. So frustration's my biggest issue with working on eBay, not the amount of work, it's how I use my time, I think.
Yeah.
Have you got a husband that says, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week? Because that's what I get.
I just do it myself. I'm not waiting on somebody else.
Well,
it's like, no.
Karen suggested that I get a handyman to quote all the jobs that need doing, because as you know, I got a new kitchen last year, September last year, and it's still not finished. Still loads of things need doing in it, so I need to get a handyman to quote. Although saying that, I'm hoping he's going to build my big built-in cupboard while I'm away in a couple of weeks' time, so I hope he's not going to watch this. He never watches Seven Ladies, so he's not going to know that I'm slagging him off.
Yeah, I'm sure Nick's probably watching in the other room, so I'm just going to moan. That what he normally says is, we need to do this, or we need to start doing that, or we need to do that. It's always we. I think, all right, I'll do that then. You do that then. I've got enough to do. I think what it really means is, what it'd be really good if you did that.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I like David McGregor's little point here about, do you do all the housework because you prefer to do it? It's like, excuse me, or because you have an agreement where the other half does X amount of extra work, etc. And obviously he's advocating a 50-50, which is great if people are both around, because that wasn't always the way. To be honest, I've got a bloody cleaner. That's the fairest way. I'll pay her, I don't mind, because I can use those 2 hours much better doing business than I can wielding a Hoover. Not my thing. And you kind of get into patterns a bit as well. We had this thing in our house where, because my husband was working up in London, he wasn't here, I was at home with the child, you know, I was like, look, okay, I'll take it as being my job to try and keep the house straight as much as I can while you're not here. That's fair enough. But that's all changed now. He works more locally. I work more than full time. We don't have a young child. And I am reading the right act now, which is, just because I'm female does not make me responsible for the nutrition of every person in this house. So the rules are changing because it's got to evolve and change. I'm not bashing my man. I'm not bashing my man, Karen. I'm really not. But it's just stuff changes and you have to make the changes, don't you? Can't. There's no point in moaning about it if you're not going to do something about it and change it. Exactly. So it has to be up for discussion. It has to be something that you can talk about. And I'm so glad it's changed, because me and being a Mrs. Housewife was never going to work. But it was a temporary situation for those few years while there was no alternative. Yeah. But you know, it's all good fun. Oh, Peter's got to go. Bye, Peter.
Oh, we have Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I thought I'd join you just for the last 10 minutes. Oh, you've all gone. Am I still there?
You're here.
Still there.
Okay, my screen went blank. Okay, there you are. Yeah, I've just got in. I'm absolutely boiling. It's chucking it down here, but it's still so hot.
Yeah. We're expecting a thunderstorm, aren't we?
We've had a couple of rumbles in the background, but nothing very concrete just yet, which is fine because Kai hates them. So the longer it stays away, the better.
Oh, I love a good thunderstorm. I love thunderstorms.
I like them. I like sitting and watching them, but it's ever since getting Kai, it takes the joy off for me because he's so distressed. So.
Oh.
But it's been torrential rain all morning. I'm thinking of building an ark.
Yeah. So, how are you, Carla?
I'm okay. Yeah, apart from being hot and bothered, I'm okay.
Were you vlogging just then?
I just said I'm going to go and join the Seller Ladies live, and I thought I'd blog the first couple of minutes. So I've blogged the bit where Heather's absolutely not man bashing.
Not really. If I bash a man, they know they've been bashed. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to add about my husband, because I sounded really harsh there. He does the majority of the housework. I literally do the washing and I dust. He does all the hoovering and takes out the rubbish and mops the floors, and he does, you know, he's good with his DIY. So although I was moaning about,
you've got a diamond there, Corinne, you know.
Yeah, I am very lucky. And he does cook sometimes as well.
Oh, backpedaling.
I can only dream of a husband like that. Sorry, Nick. Love you really. Shall we change the subject?
Yeah.
Because
I haven't got a husband and I feel left out. I've got no one to bash. I can sun bash. If anybody wants any sun bashing done, I'm on for that.
It's quite an interesting question from Print Me Up. It says, do you think having a YouTube channel has been a help or a hinder to your eBay business? So who wants to start on that one?
Okay. I don't think it's made a hoot of a difference either way. It's amused me and meant that when I've been at boot fairs, I had a lovely lady recognise me the other day, which freaked me out no end, but was really sweet. But in terms of business, I don't think there's any impact at all, really. Either people want my shizzle or they don't.
Yeah. What about you, Corinne? What do you think?
I've sold a couple of things to some viewers, but that's about it. And I've heard my name when I was in a charity shop, but they were obviously too scared to come, and there was loads of people in the charity shop to be fair, so I couldn't tell where it was coming from. But I heard someone go, "Isn't that Karen Fisher?" And I thought, well, I don't think there's many other people called Karen Fisher. Don't think.
No, I never got a great woman name.
Yeah. So, but I didn't see where it was coming from, and they were too scared to come and say hello. So I did feel a bit weird when I came out of the charity shop. I thought, oh my God, that is just weird.
You didn't go up to them and say, do you know?
I couldn't. There were so many people. I couldn't work out. I didn't want someone to go up to someone and say, hello, do you know who I am?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to have to close this window because the rain is now so heavy that you're going to be able to hear it.
Oh.
It's not got here yet. We haven't got the rain yet. It's on its way, apparently.
No word of a lie. There is a recycling box floating down the gutter. Sailing away.
Carla, do you think that having a YouTube channel has helped you or hindered you in business-wise?
I don't think it's made a great. Again, like Carla said, I've sold a couple of things to people kind of outside of eBay, you know, and I've sold a couple of things to customers who have then messaged saying, "I love your YouTube." And I'm like, "Oh, okay," you know, but they haven't said beforehand when they're buying, you know. So I don't think it's made. I don't think it's. I wouldn't say, "Oh God, yeah, I know. I sell 10 times more since I got on YouTube," but in another abstract way, maybe it's made me work more.
Okay.
Certainly vlogging. Sorry, I'm just certainly doing the weekly vlog, which I've been doing the last couple of weeks, has made me think I should probably do some work. Otherwise, people are just going to see that I don't do anything. So maybe having a channel has helped my business in that way. That it's made me actually do some work occasionally. Maybe.
Well, you definitely get some nice lunches in, Carla.
Again, I'm starting to think perhaps I should actually cook.
Carla, you wouldn't have seen before, but I took the collar off that dress I bought off you.
Oh, you took it off?
I took the collar off, and I'm going to make it so it's just like a, you know, just so it's straight, because the collar didn't suit me.
Yeah. I thought that dress looked lovely on you.
It's lovely. It's really lovely.
And I think all of the other dresses I have in stock will also look lovely on you. All of them in all the sizes.
That's called doing a promotion.
It's very rockabilly, isn't it, in its style?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is the style I'd like to be all the time, but I just can't do it. But yeah, that is my ideal.
Do you find that you feel because you work at home that you don't really want to dress up? So you're like in just jeans and a t-shirt all the time? Yeah. I do as well. I have some nice things, but I think, well, who's going to see it? Who's going to care apart from Nick?
Having a YouTube channel makes you get dressed because you don't want to vlog in your pajamas all the time.
Well, this is true. I put a nice dress on today just so that I looked a bit more interesting.
According to do you remember the Fly Lady cleaning concept that was all the rage in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Anybody remember? According to her, you have to get dressed in the morning because that makes you more productive.
Oh.
Right.
I don't know whether it's correct or not because I quite happily sit and work in my pajamas and be comfortable. But her concept was you have to get dressed right the way down to shoes every day, and then you'll get more done.
Hmm.
And she said even if you live in a house where you don't wear outdoor shoes inside, you should make sure you have indoor shoes that you put on to get stuff done. So I'm not quite sure where I've gone off at a random tangent again, but you know, maybe having a YouTube channel which makes me get dressed so that I can vlog makes me more productive because now I've got clothes on.
I live in slippers. I hardly ever wear normal shoes unless I walk the dog. I live in slippers.
I always get dressed. It's usually jeans and a t-shirt.
I tend to get dressed when I feel like it, but I'm certainly not putting it out there on YouTube when I'm wearing something less than dressed.
Yeah, some people do, and I don't know how they do. But they vlog themselves in their pajamas, hair's all over the place, and I think I just can't do that.
I do my first thing in the morning. I go, good morning, it's 6:30 and I look like shite. And then I feel like probably by about 10:30 I shouldn't be going, look, it's 10:30 and I still look exactly the same. So then I do something about it.
Yeah.
You've all seen my hair in the morning. Do you remember when we done that morning where we all put pictures of ourselves and we just woke up and my hair looks like I've been electrocuted?
You had fantastic bedhead. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was a great photo. Yeah. So from the last question, in terms of whether I think having a YouTube channel has been a help or a hindrance to us, I think it's just enhanced our life full stop, really. We've met some lovely people, including you guys, made some really good friends, and it's helped. I think it's helped business-wise in terms of putting us out there, and I don't know. What do you think, Mr. Nick? Do you think it's been a help or a hindrance?
Don't ask me. I'm excited about it.
Oh, he's excited about his postcards.
They've all turned up.
So he's just been to collect them.
Oh,
So,
very nice.
postcard pub stamp thing.
I've got 1,200 of these damn things.
Well, I think actually it's been a help for us across the board, business-wise, socially, everything. So I just saw another question and I've lost it. Oh, here we are. It was from We Flipping Good Stuff. Said, do you photograph a list direct from your phone? How do you guys do it? Do you list on your phones?
What I tend to do is I take the photographs on my phone, but I do sit at my laptop and do the listings because I find you get more choice of what to put in, and I can type. I haven't got such fat fingers on a laptop, so I just find it easier for me that way.
Yeah.
I do. I list on my phone. I take pictures on my phone and I list on my phone, and then I'll just go into it on the PC just to add some. I used to have to do the mobile phone checker thing, but you don't have to do that anymore. But I do still send offers and things like that on the PC. But I'm thinking about doing a week of experimenting and actually listing on the PC and see if I get any more done than what I do on my phone. Because the thing is, I'll sit in front of the TV with my phone list, whereas if I'm sat at the computer, I'm obviously less likely to do that. Although I do have a TV above the computer screen with Sky, but I won't have that on, and I'll try and do some listing and see if I get more done. I don't know if I will.
I'm just going through to see if I can find any other questions. So
I draft on the PC. I really hate listing on my phone. I find the eBay app for listing, I find it really clunky and rubbish. I hate having to go into this bit and then back into that bit and then trying to find this bit, which is, where the hell's the best offer bit gone? And I just find the app rubbish for listing. eBay, if you're watching, your app's crap. It's a crap.
Agree.
I type much more quickly on the keyboard. So I can bash out a listing on the keyboard in probably 2 minutes, basic draft. And on the phone, that same draft might take me 10 minutes. So draft on the laptop, not on the laptop, on the desktop. Again, I can't work my laptop. Can't do it. None of the keys are in the right place. I don't know what the hell's going on there. So I draft on the desktop, but then I take the phone to the office, take the photos on the phone, and then I can upload the photos. I'm much quicker to upload the photos on the app than I am on the PC. So it's kind of a 50-50 split. Some bits are easier on desktop, some bits are easier on the phone.
Yeah.
So
I draft on my phone, so I take all my photos on my phone and I drop them into drafts on my phone. So I'd literally just put a title in, put all the photographs in, and I finish it on the desktop because.
So yes, you do it in the reverse order to me. The same thing, but in the reverse order. Yeah.
I completely.
That's what I might try, Andrea. What you do, I might try that.
I find it really difficult to list on phone.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices that it doesn't give you. So if you want to put your own thing in, it doesn't allow you to do it. It's always telling you how much it tries to make you sell things on auction. Irritating. And it also tries to tell you
item 7p. Go away.
Exactly. You have to ignore everything that they're trying to. It's like they're trying to push you, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm employed. I'm not employed.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been doing a lot of listing on Vinted and Depop, and it's just so much nicer to list on there. It's so quick. You know, they don't want all the millions of item specifics. They just want certain things, you know, click, 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 and you're done. It's just, you know, if only the eBay app was like that, it'd be so much easier.
I still haven't delved into either one of those. I'm still a bit nervous. I don't think I'm young and trendy enough for these people.
I feel that way about Depop, but I'm doing quite well on Vinted.
Vinted, I think, is more likely. Yeah.
It seems to be a whole range of ages on Vinted, so yeah, it's better for the stuff that I buy. It's probably better, but giving it a go anyway.
Yeah.
So we've only got a couple of minutes left, but there's a question from Elaine that's saying, "Hi ladies, lovely to catch you live. I'm struggling a bit with motivation as the days are feeling a bit samey. Primark in the charity shops, washing, ironing, listing. How do you keep it fresh?" So I thought that'd be a good way to end on how we motivate ourselves and how we keep our days fresh. And so I don't know, Carla, how do you keep things fresh?
I don't think I do. I frequently feel like I'm very, very stale and possibly gone off completely. I am motivated by my pay packet at the end of the week. That's the only thing that really motivates me. And the thing is, I'm very resistant to change. Really, really kind of like, I like things to be the way they are because this is what I'm used to. So whenever they go, we're going to update this, I'm like, no, don't do that. I was probably one of the last people to move over to Seller Hub. I'm like, no, don't change it. I know how it works and I know where it is. Even now, I can't use the YouTube new studio. I'm like, where's the button for Classic Studio? I need to go back to how it used to be. The same with Parcel to Go. They've moved on. I'm like, no, the old way is fine. I'm such a stick in the mud. But I think it's the laziness thing. I don't want to learn new things. So I don't want to keep things fresh. I want things to stay exactly the same because then I won't have to put any effort in to learning new things. I'm so lazy. It's chronic. Chronic laziness.
Yeah. We're exactly the same with the YouTube thing. We're still using the old style Creator Hub.
I don't understand the new one. Nothing's where it ought to be.
No, I'm absolutely dreading it when the 1st of August comes and we have to change the live stream thing because.
Well, look at Heather the other day. She's got 6. And the thing is, they're all identical, so it can't be anything you did wrong, Heather, because there are 6. No. And I watched a few of them through on fast forward. And I'm like, no, they're all the same. It's not like there's 2 minutes and then it stopped and she had to start again. That's not what's happened. It's just produced 6, and it did the same for me the other day.
I was mystified. I mean, I don't mind change, but there needs to be some logical bloody reason for it. And I'm not completely stupid. I can normally figure things out. So stuff like that, you just have to laugh and go, well.
I think with a lot of the big companies, they've got those development departments, and they've got to be seen to be doing something, haven't they, and changing things.
Some bloke who's thinking, what can I change this week so I still get paid? Yeah.
Yeah. I like doing things efficiently, so it annoys me when I've got to waste time trying to find out how to do something that I was able to do perfectly well last week. But somehow this week it's all changed because some idiot has decided to throw all the pieces up in the air and see where they land. yeah, I can't say that I keep what keeps it fresh for me is the promise, is the treasure hunt. That's the bit I love. It's the thought, I might just find something amazing. That's what keeps me going. Yeah.
Yeah, sourcing's the best bit, isn't it? I'm always astonished by people who say, "Oh no, I don't go to the boot sales. Oh no, I buy all my. Oh no, this is the bit I like." Sourcing's the bit that makes it worth doing, you know.
That's the fun. It feels like, it almost feels like you're stealing, doesn't it? It's like the universe is giving you all this, but for this much.
Legalised theft.
I was going to say another way to keep it fresh. What I try and do regularly is I rearrange my room and sort it out so that it's a nice, tidy workspace to work in. I do that quite a lot. Okay, at the minute I can see it's a mess and it's really stressed me out, but it won't be like this next week. So when the bed gets delivered, it'll be nice back to tidy again. But yeah, so another way to keep it fresh is to keep your change your workspace round if it's not working, and keep it tidy, and then you want to go in your room and work.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to have a room.
I feel like I should get you down here to do all my housework, and you down here to tidy up my office.
I'm a great organizer. I've always said that would be another job that I could have, would be like an organization person, because I am really good at that.
Oh, you come and sort me out.
Yeah, well, I struggle the same. I think some days it feels like Groundhog Week. You know, it feels like do the same things week in and week out, and I don't really know how we keep it fresh. I suppose sometimes.
Perhaps one of the key things is to pick up different things.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thinking outside your box. So, you know, because certainly as clothing sellers, it can get very repetitive. Look, there's that brand I buy. I'll buy that thing. Oh, look, there's an item in that brand I know. I'll buy that. So maybe as clothing sellers, one of the things to keep it fresh is to go, right, well, I never bought that before. And stole or something.
I'm definitely looking at bric-a-brac and interesting sort of like antiques and pottery, and because I know it's hard to learn, so not everyone and his wife is going to do it, whereas clothes is actually quite easy in a lot of ways. And it's a challenge. I always have to be learning something or I get terribly bored. So yeah, it satisfies my kind of need to try and expand my area of expertise.
Yeah. In terms of things that I pick up, I do try to think outside the box sometimes, and I pick up something and just try it, and you know, just do different things that I do every day, just exactly for that, just to try and learn about something else. Even if you learn that it's not worth selling.
Oh yeah, I've had stuff come into the house, I've looked it up and that's gone straight back into the donate and I've spent £1 on it, so I've gone, okay, I won't pick that up again, that was clearly not. But then I've had plenty of other things I paid a couple of quid for and I've sold them for 20 quid, so very happy.
Yeah. I really like the way that Mel works, actually. She does like intuitive working, so you know, if she feels a certain way about, you know, if she's in a certain mood, then she'll list. If she's in another sort of certain mood, then she'll do photographs or go to the allotment or, you know, write a blog post or whatever. So I think, you know, I think about that a lot, actually, is moving towards, what should I do today? Should I do a video? Should I do a blog post?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly don't do the same things on the same days if I can help it.
Yeah.
The only things that I suppose are set in stone is that you wake and think, right, I've got to go to the office today because I've got to send those parcels because my dispatch time demands it, you know.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't go, well, it's Monday, so I do listing on Mondays or whatever.
Nah, I can't work like that either. I do work intuitively, and even when I'm sourcing, I don't go out with a list of, oh, I'm going to look for this today. I have a good old browse at everything. If something jumps out at me and my gut feeling is this is a good thing, then I'll go with it because mostly it's right. Mostly. And I like a gamble. It's always much more fun.
Yes, definitely.
If anyone in the Northeast wants to hire me to organise their tap rooms, I'm very happy to do it, you know. I would absolutely love to do Nick's room. I'd absolutely love it.
Nick's just said he wants you, Corinne.
Yeah, I'd love to do that room, honestly. And I'd clean all the shelves and everything. You'd have a section for that and a section for that, and it would look good. Trust me.
I need you here. I need you here.
I mean, I'd come down for a couple of days then and give it a go.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, Nick's just said what's your hourly rate, so looks like you've got your first client. And while you're down there, you may as well pop a bit more further south.
And a bit more further east and south.
Just do a tour of the country.
Yeah.
Corinne's road tour.
Yeah.
Clean
a YouTube series, wouldn't it, Karen?
It would actually, yeah.
Sue was just asking what I was sewing. I was sewing this, Sue. It's the hand puppet that's been returned to me as it was completely unusable due to the 3 or 4 stitches that were broken on the inside. I'm not bitter. Like the Murphys, I'm not bitter. But he's not got any broken stitches now, and he'll be going back on sale.
So obviously, whoever bought it doesn't know how to sew.
She sent me a message saying that if I sent her a £10 refund, she could get somebody else to mend it. I was like, that's 3 stitches. Yeah. That's 3 stitches, and I think you might be bonkers, lady. And I think I told her words to that effect.
Did you do it in French, though?
No, I did enjoy telling the last one he was an idiot in French. Right? Tell him he's a smelly old farmer or something. I don't know.
You said something that was extraordinary. It's brilliant.
Just have to be in the right mood on the right day.
Yeah.
105 Wonky says, love the talk, ladies, if I haven't said it before. So thank you for that.
Oh, hello, Wonky.
Okay, so we're getting on for 10 past and we probably ought to wrap it up here. But it's been really good today. And I'm really sorry if you've asked questions and we haven't got round to it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us in the chat. And thank you for asking questions. And yeah, it's been a really good chat today. So thank you all for joining me. And
Karen's got a world tour going on with this organizer, by the way. Somebody's taking her to Florida and Ohio.
She's cold with Monumental.
Yeah, Karen travels the world.
It's
sorting out everybody's clutter.
Yeah. Or Karen organises the world. There you go.
Yeah.
That's a YouTube series.
Yeah, that would be a brilliant YouTube channel, Karen.
I would love to organise the world.
And then the BBC will commission you.
Yeah.
And then you can work with what's her face, Kim and Aggie.
Oh, no thanks.
You wouldn't want to work with them. Yeah. Okay, so we'll wrap it up here and say goodbye and hope everyone has a great weekend. So, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.